and hit more and live on custom live streaming service.
Got it.
And you start by asking our hook question.
Oh. We're getting used to this.
That's it.
What in the world is Momivate? Did you make that up?
Well, yes, I actually really like wordplay. So that is a play on the word motivate and how we want to motivate moms. It's a nonprofit organization that actually continues the wordplay. As we made our mission statement, we have more vate words. So we want to activate the powerful force that moms are designed to be. We want to cultivate maternal instincts into confident maternal influence. We want to innovate to meet modern day motherhood. And we want to elevate the general respect given to the role of motherhood. So, of course, here with Momversations, we're continuing with the wordplay, and we're just really excited to have Natascha as our new co-host. So, welcome, Natascha.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. Tell me, just kind of your basic motherhood numbers. What number of years you've been married, number of kids, number of miles that you've run since your training for a marathon.
Well, I've been married for 17 years. We just had our anniversary in January, and I have a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old, just the 2 kids. And yes, as Regan mentioned, I am currently training for my first marathon because I thought, what better way than to start out 2023 than to injure myself? So
makes the rest of the year all the better.
Exactly.
Right?
I can just take it easy after that. But no. So yeah, I am an author by day.
These are some of your beyond mom details. Like, what do you do in your free time?
Free time. What's free time?
Because it was something that is scarce is extremely valuable.
Right.
And free time as mom, extremely scarce.
Yes. I'm an author by day, so I've spent the past decade or so building a mystery career. Behind our lovely screen, I have lots of books back there that are mine because I just like to show off my stuff. No, that's not why. I just have too many books and I can't get rid of them. But yes, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I work, I'm a mom, and I run long, crappy distances.
There you go. And I think every mom runs marathons to some extent, right?
That's true. That's true. Okay, so how about you? I know that you speak Russian. We just learned that this morning.
And you're learning it.
And I'm learning Russian.
We can, like, practice together, but not in front of you guys. Yeah, so I have 8 children. That's more of the wordplay. I'm a Momivate, so I started Momivate. You're too kind. I've been married 23 years. So my oldest child is 22 and my youngest is 4. So I'm still in the trenches of motherhood. Yeah. I've always been a cheerleader for moms, but it changes what it looks like based on what stage of life I'm in. So when I was first doing birthing and stuff, that's what I got into. I became a childbirth educator and was a doula. And then as my kids grew and I got into like preschool type things, then I got involved that way. And, I did homeschool for a while. That was really fun. Actually what I loved was meeting the moms. That homeschool crowd of moms are really fun people. Yeah. They're curious. And I think that's why most of us decide to homeschool, because we're like, I want to learn stuff too. Right. I bet being an author has caused you to learn.
I've had to learn a lot of things, mostly where and how to get rid of bodies.
Okay. I'm sure your husband is glad you have that information.
Yes.
In case you ever want to get rid of his body, right?
I do like a lot of law enforcement research, psychology research. My specialty is writing about serial killers.
Oh, nice.
So kind of a weird thing to introduce myself with, but I find it fascinating. In fact, like I'm finishing my degree in psychology and going on to my master's in marriage and family therapy.
Okay.
Just to like get a little bit more into that world, not just because of that, but it will definitely aid my work.
Right. Yeah. Very cool. Okay.
And so the reason I came around to Momivate is I have just always had this pull to help other women rise above the cards that they were dealt. It's a big part of who I am. And in my own journey, I am an abuse survivor.
Okay.
I've had serious issues and experiences with postpartum depression.
Okay.
I've constantly been criticized by a narcissistic parent. And it's just once I got to my 30s, I feel like that's the age when you're like, I can change my life. I have choices. I don't have to do this anymore. I don't have to live with this anymore. I feel like I've been through those things and I have overcome and faced those things. And so I've just had this little piece in my heart to try to help other women with that.
Oh, I think that's wonderful. And I'm glad that Momivate is giving you a venue, a platform.
Yes, thank you so much for having me here.
I'm excited that you're going to continue being with us as we've set up different themes and topics and whatever we're going to discuss over the next few shows.
Yes.
A lot of them have been influenced by that rich background that you haven't. And I don't know if you personally would use the word rich, since some of it is hard to get through type things, but it really does. And it enriches the other women that we get a chance to interact with. When you are willing to share your story, share how you've overcome things or managed. Sometimes it's not always getting to overcome, right?
It's true. It's more of a constant journey, figuring out different angles. Things come up all the time. And I have friends too who have these unique circumstances in their life, who I'm happy to manipulate them to come on the show.
Invite. Yeah, we'll benefit from that vulnerability, really is part of what it is, and being willing to share with each other
while keeping it lighthearted and sarcastic.
That is the fun part for us.
Yes.
So I grew up the daughter of a single mother who always lamented the fact that she couldn't be maybe like a full-time mom, or really give a lot of time and effort to her mothering role because she was out working. So in the midst of all of that, I developed this conviction that motherhood was somehow important, but I didn't really know what it looked like, having not seen my mom fulfill what she always wished she could. So it's been quite the journey to figure out what motherhood is all about. But it's funny because I hear all these other messages, or see a lot of messages coming from the rest of society, and it's really interesting how dichotomous they are, that motherhood is either too hard, or it's too boring, or it's too primitive, or we've made it too complex, or it's too messy and too expensive, and all of these, and they're generally not really uplifting messages. So that is part of what Momivate is about, is bringing a new perspective, trying to help motherhood evolve to meet modern day needs, and give a more true to life portrayal. Because yes, motherhood is messy and expensive and boring sometimes, but also really hard and complex and all of those things. But there's so much about that enriches us.
Right.
That's really one of our key words.
I love that.
So.
Well, and I feel like I didn't become the person that I am now, who is looking to do all these crazy things back in the day, like running marathons, until I became a mom and I realized I want to be an example that they can look up to. I think that's what drives me the most. So like an organization like Momivate, who can just support these moms in trying to do like those personal pursuits or overcoming, things like that. I love them. And I'm so glad I'm part of it.
So would you be willing to open up a little about what's the hardest thing you've ever had to do as a mother?
Okay, I've thought about this because I came up with the questions and it didn't hit me until this morning, but following through like with my kids and saying,
Okay.
no, you can't have a fruit roll because you just had like an entire sleeve of Oreos.
There you go. Yeah.
And then just not turning a blind eye when they go get a fruit
it
roll.
Yeah, they're so independent.
Right. Or it's like, if you do that, you're going to lose, iPad time. It's actually having to follow through. I feel like with my oldest, who's 9, he was a super chill baby. Like I didn't really have to discipline him. I didn't have to raise my voice or do mom voice. I didn't have to do any of that. But my second, we lovingly call her Spawn of Satan.
So much love.
People think I'm being so mean to my daughter, but no, we love her. She talks like a demon, like she's actually possessed. She is just constantly testing our boundaries all the time. And so it's having to learn what boundaries are.
Yeah.
And actually following through when I was like, hey, you're gonna lose this if you do this, and then she'll do it, and
she's checking to see if you meant it.
I actually have to do it
Yeah.
now. So that's probably the hardest thing for me. She's 5, she's almost 6, and it's taken me 5 years to figure that out. So she's constantly changing the rules on us, and we're trying to keep up. What about you? What would you say is the hardest thing about being
Oh, well, I think it's probably related to some extent. I feel like motherhood is this balancing act. I don't want to smother my kids, but I don't want the pendulum to swing too far the other direction to where I'm not meeting their needs adequately. So to put that in like a concrete example, teaching my teenagers how to drive. So it's really scary if you haven't gone through this yet.
Oh, I don't want to.
I'm a 4. I've survived 4. Interestingly, most recently it was a set of twins, my twin girls.
Oh my gosh.
So that meant lots of time being in the passenger seat, wishing I had a steering wheel
And a brake.
Great. But of course, if I'm being too overbearing as they're learning how to drive and I'm talking too much or gasping too much.
Out, yeah.
Yes, like there's the handle or
Oh no.
then that just like pulls away at their confidence, and that's not helpful, right? With driving, as with life, like this is all metaphorical, right? You want them to have confidence and yet also be cautious and aware of what could go wrong. Because man, sometimes it seemed like they just didn't even realize that they were about to ram me into another car. And I'd be like, what if I lean over? What happens? So yeah, what am I saying enough to be educational to them? Or should I bite my tongue and not say certain things that could really be hurtful,
Yes.
So yeah, that's what I would say has been one of the hardest parts.
And will be a constant.
Yeah.
Until the 4-year-old starts learning how to drive.
Whether or not I am actually teaching driving, it's always a matter of balancing that.
Yeah, letting them make their own choices and learning from their own mistakes.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a hard one, especially with my 9-year-old right now. I'm having to teach consequences of your actions.
Yeah.
Well, let's switch gears a little bit. Have you ever pranked your kid?
Let's see. I don't know if I would use the word prank, but I've done surprise parties.
Oh, that's a good one.
And it's hard and it's so nerve-wracking leading up to it. My second oldest, he decided to graduate a year early, which was meant, and he only decided that about 6 weeks before the end of the school year. But he was like, my school is shutting down. I don't want to switch to a new school for my senior year. I have enough credits. So within that 6 weeks, I was like, we're going to throw a graduation party. And he worked as the cab. for Chick-fil-A. I'm sure you all can
That's
picture that,
awesome.
right? So I pretended that I was hiring the cow to come to this party, and then the party was for the cow. So
That's a pretty good surprise.
he turned it around on me.
Oh.
Just a few months ago, he returned home from his mission in Africa, and he had told me he was coming on February 1st. But on my birthday, January 17th, so 2 weeks beforehand, my husband took me out to dinner, and there was my son at the restaurant.
That's amazing. I want that to happen to me. I don't have kids old enough to go on missions yet,
Yeah,
but I have nieces.
there you can put that idea in their head.
Okay, I'm definitely going to mention that to my sister-in-law.
Okay, now you tell me, how have you tricked or pranked or?
I like to scare the crap out of my
Do
kids
you?
all the time.
They haven't gotten used to it?
No, I win every time. My cute little 9-year-old, he's just so gullible.
Oh,
And
that's so sweet.
he has tried so many times to scare me, and it doesn't work.
Oh,
Like he'll hide, like when I come out of the bathroom, he'll hide like behind the door, behind the wall or something.
do you
And-
pretend?
No,
Oh,
I
no.
don't. Am I? Is that terrible? And I'm like, no. I do that for my 5-year-old, but not for my 9-year-old. But recently, I think it was on Valentine's Day, my husband and I had a dentist appointment. And so we told my son, he just walks home from school. And I told him, I was like, hey, you might be coming home to an empty house. Just make sure you have your key. And you can get in, just like try not to eat everything in the pantry. Well, our dentist appointment got over early because we had such beautiful no cavity teeth that day, which is weird. For us anyway, weird for us. And so we got home early. And so my husband and I decided to trick my son. And I'm like, okay, it's 3:30. He's on his way home. Let's all hide. And so we got my 5-year-old, who is terrible at hide and seek. She always laughs while she's hiding.
Gives herself away.
Yes. And then she's like, here I am. I'm like, no, that's not how you play. But so my husband and I hid, we have this long entryway from our front door, and we hid behind the wall so he could not see us at all. And my 5-year-old is hiding on the couch, and she's just giggling to herself. But thankfully my son can't hear her. And so he comes in the door and we're like, okay, shh, shh. And he's like, hello, is anybody here? And we're like, shh, shh. And we're just like laughing to ourselves. And we both like jumped out from behind the wall, and he screamed so loud he fell backward. But anytime I can scare my kids, I don't know why I do that, but it's just so fun to see their reaction.
Building up resilience.
Yeah, I guess that's it. Like, surprise, here's what life is throwing at you next.
That's right.
Can I just?
That's right. Now, back to a little more serious. Has motherhood ever felt isolating or lonely for you?
I personally would have to say not for me,
Okay.
but I do tend to isolate myself
Okay.
really hard.
Interesting. So it as kind of a defense mechanism of
I would call myself like an extroverted introvert. My favorite thing of all time is people canceling plans. Like, I will gladly make plans to go out to dinner with you. I will gladly like have a play date with you. But if you cancel, I'll be like, yes,
I don't worry about that.
get dressed. I can stay in the pajamas. And so I actually, especially if I'm like trying to work through something or work has gotten crazy, like I will sever all ties with everybody ever. But I've been having this craving. I have a best friend who lives across the valley, and I'm just like, we only get together about once a month, and we're like 5 miles apart. We just don't make the effort to get together more than that. But I actually,
5 miles.
I had to message her the other day, and I was like, could we just FaceTime every once in a while?
Nice.
I need to see your face.
I need you.
I need to hear your voice. Like, I just get so much energy from her, and I've been feeling that craving. Like, okay, it's time to come out of the isolating habits, and make an effort.
That's
So
beautiful.
that's what I've done this
I
week.
hope she agreed.
She did.
Okay.
She did.
Very good.
Okay, how about you? Does motherhood ever feel isolating for you?
I have 8 kids, so it's never lonely, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But absolutely, I have felt that isolation, and I feel like it's one of the reasons that I have rejected the term stay-at-home mom, like that label.
Yes.
Even though other people would look at me and give me that label, I'm like, don't call me that. Don't tell me to stay at home. I can do what I want.
Yes.
And I feel like that's a subliminal message that I'm not allowed out of my own 4 walls if I'm called a stay-at-home mom. And especially, I can remember back 20 years ago when it was just a baby or 2, and I had to do all the chores by myself. You know, I have found ways. I feel like I've tried to be really creative in ways to expand my circle and make sure that I'm not lonely or feeling isolated. So like I said, I don't call myself stay-at-home mom. I'm a full-time mom is what I
very nice.
say. And then with Momivate as a nonprofit, I've created this thing called Mom Pods. You can check it out on our website if you want. It's like kind of like teaming moms up with each other so that they can give each other a chance to meet one another's needs. You know how they talk about self-care, but you're thinking, how am I going to do self-care if I'm in charge of caring for little kids?
Everybody else. Yeah.
So this like helps balance those dynamics, and it's 34 pages, so it's lots of good information, brainstorming how to make it actually work.
And how do you get a hold of that?
Yeah, so it's one of the services we offer. So when you go to our website, which is momivate.org, there's the option to pick the tab services, and then it will have the Mom Pod packet listed as one of our services.
Nice.
So, and we do it for free, of course, because that's why we're nonprofit. Moms already give so much. They give their time, they give their sanity, they give their body when they give birth. So see, they don't need to give their money to anybody either. So.
I like that. Don't take my money.
So with this idea though, that you are an isolationist in some ways, how do you hide from your kids? I think everybody wants to know some good ideas for hiding.
I have come up with a really great one other than hiding in the closet with like chocolate.
There you go, chocolate.
Like this morning, I went grocery shopping and then I went and got my car detailed. I sat in the car and got it washed.
Somebody else clean it.
I vacuumed it. No, I had to do a lot of the work, but I threw away all the crap that my kids have been hiding in the back seat.
Yeah, it's like a magnet.
Yeah. But I tell my kids, because I go grocery shopping on Saturday mornings, I was like, that is the one time you are not allowed to go with me. Like, nope, I'll do the grocery shopping. I'll get the car washed. So I just run away and go do errands.
That is nice.
But also sometimes I just hide in the closet with some chocolate.
Very nice.
Do you ever hide from your kids?
Yeah, but I like to have my open space. I don't want to be in a closet. So my husband, he was the scoutmaster for a long time, like 7 years or something. So he developed this love for camping. And so I'll send him on a camp out with the kids and I get the house to myself. And also, even though I am known for being really strict with screen time with my kids, I'm very low. I limit their screen time a lot, but it is not below me to stream Daniel Tiger if I need to get something else.
Or Bluey.
So,
Bluey is the new one. And it's amazing.
Yeah, that's the Australian
one. And they have so many cute
I think those are for us parents to watch.
Right?
They're like teaching us how to parent.
I learned stuff. And I'm like, oh, I thought I was pretty good, but no, they had the cartoon dog had a way better response than I did.
That's awesome.
Can I ask you a really weird question?
Okay.
Do you judge moms like based off of how often they let their kids have screen time or what they're wearing at the park or drop off?
Well, okay, I know that judgment is an obstacle in womanhood in general. We do, as a species, we tend to be judgmental, but I can honestly say that I don't let myself think negatively about fellow moms because I know how hard it is. And I do meet a lot of moms since I run the revolving closet in my household. That's another program that we have in Momivate. So if you want to know about revolving closets, that's on the website too under services. But anyways, so I meet a lot of moms and I just try to like ooze love out my eyeballs at these moms because that's fuel for moms is knowing that we all know that this is hard and I'm not going to judge you, particularly as a person. I know that you're doing your best. I totally know that. That just comes with the territory of motherhood is you love that baby and you're just going to do the darndest best you can. I will say that I will look at other behaviors of moms or like habits or something, and then I'll discern. I'll like decide for myself. Is that something I want in my mothering? Will that benefit me if I decide to adopt that in myself? You know, so it's like I'm wanting to learn from them.
More analytical.
Exactly. Yes. And I've gained a lot of great skills from other moms by choosing to see them as resources for my own motherhood.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I really like that.
So how about you? Do you consider yourself judgmental?
I will say when I was an angry young lass before children
And before all the mystery novels scared the anger,
Yes.
put them in the novels.
Like before I had kids, I would say 100%. I feel like I took that on as a habit, just like from the way that I was raised. I was constantly criticized. So I turned that on to others to like try to make myself feel better. I was a bully.
Oh.
No, I'm not proud of that, but I feel like I definitely was a bully. I did not beat people up.
Oh,
I did not.
it was verbal.
But in my mind, I was always so judgmental of other people. And I think it took having kids to realize this is hard.
Yeah.
Like not having a baby scream at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Where I would have judged that woman, be like, can't you take that out of
your kid under control?
Or sacrament meeting at church, like take your kid out. And I'm now I don't even notice it.
Yeah.
Most of the time I don't even notice when my kids are screaming because I'm just tuned it out so well. Whereas like my husband is still kind of in that space where like, hey, it's time for you to take that kid out. Like you're disturbing everybody else. And I'm just like, dude, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. So no, I don't feel like I judge as much as I used to. There's maybe some behaviors, not like anything in the appearance, not anything having to do with chill, but I'm just like, really, you're gonna do that right now. But I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be a better person and be more aware of it.
All right. Okay, so what about with your own kids? Do they have bad habits or behaviors? Like a pet peeve of yours?
Oh my gosh. It's winter right now and my kids have snotty noses all the time.
Oh yeah, that's the worst.
And I hate so much. I don't know why. It literally makes me cringe inside.
That ties in with mine. My pet peeve is when kids do just gross things like wiping boogers on the wall.
Hey,
you're like,
why is that a thing?
So and that really struck me because I have my two oldest are boys and then I have twin girls. And so I was so surprised when my twin girls started doing it. I was like, okay, I could expect that from boys.
That's a gross boy behavior. Why is she doing
that? Girls. Or if they leave poop in the toilet. And
okay, I haven't gotten to that one yet.
To flush. Come on.
Okay. That's valid.
All right.
Well, this half hour has gone by so fast. Let's wrap up with let's just wrap up with a big ribbon of gratitude to Regan,
Natascha,
and to you guys and to everyone behind the scenes at WinWinWomen who make it possible to care and connect and collaborate in this unique way.
We are going to stop the recording at this point in time and start our live interaction with our viewers. So if you've watched this as a recording, be sure to catch our live show every Saturday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. So you can also participate in the second half hour where we continue the conversation directly with you. And if you would like a text reminder, let's see, I printed out nice and big so that you can see. Go ahead and text at Momivate. That didn't fit the whole Momivate, but it's just Momivate to 81010, and you will
We'll
be
redo that.
signed up to, well, actually that is what you text. So because you know, the T, yep, at Momivate, and that's the number 81010, and then we'll be able to send you reminders every week because we want
to include you in our Momivate community, or Momunity, as we like to say. So join the conversation. We'll practice.
We'll get this down.
Bye.
Okay. So now we gotta stop recording. There it is. Oh, not end the meeting. Nope.
We're figuring this out.
Start recording.